So you've probably heard the name GitHub thrown around a lot, right? It's where a huge chunk of the world's software gets built. But what does that actually mean? And hey, why should you care, especially if you're not a programmer? Well, stick around because we're going to break it all down.
Okay, ever stop and think about this? How do these massive software projects, I'm talking thousands of people working together on an operating system or your favorite app, how do they not just completely implode into a chaotic mess? Seriously, how do you stop one person's tiny change from accidentally breaking the entire thing for everybody else? That is the exact problem we're going to tackle today.
All right, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to look at what I'm calling the collaboration nightmare. You'll see why. Then we'll see how Git and GitHub swoop in to save the day. After that, we'll get into the core concepts you need to know, walk through the official GitHub flow, and finally, talk about why GitHub is so much bigger than just code.
To really get why GitHub is such a game changer, you have to understand the problem it solves. So let's turn back the clock and look at how projects used to be managed. Hint, it was messy.
I want you to just imagine for a second. You're working on a group project, and you're all just emailing files back and forth. You end up with file names like this one. Oh my gosh. Which one is the real final version? Who even made the last edit? Wait, did Sarah's changes just completely wipe out John's work? It is a total recipe for disaster. Work gets lost, nobody knows what's going on, and this was the painful reality for pretty much any complex project back in the day.
And right there, out of that chaos comes our solution, Git and GitHub. These two things together created a whole new way to work, one that's structured, safe, and totally transparent.
Okay, so this next part is super important because it's where a lot of people get mixed up. Let's clear it up right now. Git versus GitHub. What's the deal? Well, Git is the software on your computer. It's this amazing version control system that tracks every single change you make locally. It was created by Linus Torvalds, by the way, the same genius who made Linux. Now, GitHub, that's the platform on the internet. It's a cloud-based service where you host your Git projects, making it easy to share and work with other people. Here's a good way to think about it. Git is the engine, and GitHub is the car. So what exactly is this version control thing? You can think of it like a time machine for your project. It's a system that records every single change made to your files. So you have a complete history of everything that's ever happened. You can literally rewind to any previous version, you can see exactly who changed what and when, and you can even compare different versions side by side. It's like a super-powered undo button for your entire project.
All right, now that we know the basics, let's dive into the core concepts. Once you understand these key terms, the whole thing is going to click into place. These are the building blocks of GitHub.
First up, we have the repository, or what everyone calls a repo. Just think of it as your project's main folder. But it's a folder with superpowers. It doesn't just hold your files, your code, images, documents. It also holds the entire history of every change ever made to those files. It's the one central source of truth for your project.
Okay, next up is a branch. This concept is brilliant. Imagine you want to add a new feature or fix a bug, but you're terrified of messing up the main project that already works. A branch is basically a parallel universe for your work. You create a copy of the project where you can experiment safely. Nothing you do there affects the main version until you are 100% ready to merge it back in. It's your safe zone.
Now let's talk about a commit. A commit is way more than just hitting the save button. Think of it as a labeled save point, a snapshot of your project at a specific moment in time. Every time you make a set of changes, you bundle them into a commit with a little message explaining what you did. This creates this beautiful step-by-step history of how your project has evolved.
And that brings us to the pull request, or PR. Honestly, this is the beating heart of collaboration on GitHub. Once you're done with your work on a branch, you open a pull request. This is you basically raising your hand and saying, "Hey team, I think I'm done. Can you guys take a look at my changes before we add them to the main project?" This is where the conversation happens, where feedback is given, and where code gets reviewed. It's teamwork in action.
So we have all these pieces, repos, branches, commits, PRs. Now let's see how they all fit together in a simple, safe workflow that millions of projects use every single day to stay organized. This is the GitHub flow, and it's beautiful because it just makes sense. Step 1, you create a branch to keep your work separate. Step 2, you make your changes and save them as commits. Step 3, when you're ready, you open a pull request to ask for a review. Step 4, your teammates review it, you discuss it. And finally, Step 5, once everyone's happy, you merge it into the main project.
This simple cycle is what keeps the main branch protected and stable at all times.
And here's a pro tip that is absolutely essential to making this all work smoothly. Keep your pull requests small and focused. Why? Because they're just so much easier and faster for your team to review. If you send someone a PR with 1,000 changes, they're not going to catch everything. But if it's just a few targeted changes, it's easy to understand, and most importantly, it leaves way less room for new bugs to sneak in.
But here's the thing. While GitHub is obviously the lifeblood of software development, it's become so much more than that. It's really evolved into this global hub for all kinds of creation and collaboration.
And if you need proof, just look at this number. Over 100 million users as of early 2023. This isn't some tiny niche tool for programmers anymore. It's a massive, worldwide platform where people from every background imaginable come together to build things.
Which brings me to probably the biggest myth we need to bust right now. You do not need to be a coder to contribute on GitHub. That idea is just completely wrong. Think about it. Open source projects are like little companies. They need a ton of different skills to actually succeed.
And here are just a few examples. Are you a good writer? Projects desperately need people to write and improve their documentation. Are you a designer? They need logos and website layouts. Speak another language? You can help translate. Are you a good organizer? You can help manage issues, plan events, or answer questions for new users. Your skills, whatever they are incredibly valuable.
And get this, one study found that a whopping 28% of all casual contributions to open source are just related to documentation. Things like fixing a typo, rewriting a confusing sentence, adding a better example. It turns out clear writing is just as crucial as clean code.
So, let's wrap this all up. Now that you've seen how this platform works, the real question is, where do you see yourself fitting in?
If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. GitHub took the absolute mess of collaboration and turned it into a safe, transparent, and organized process. It gives people all over the world a structured way to come together and build amazing things, together.
Pretty much everything in our digital world, from the phone in your pocket to the browser you're using right now, is built on collaboration. So the only real question left is, what will you help build?